ISIS on the rise took him by surprise. I almost can't believe it, but listen to President Obama's answer in this CNN, who are they, interview.
The rise of the Islamic State surprised you. It took you by surprise. It took the administration by surprise.
The ability of ISIL to initiate major land offenses, that was not on my intelligence radar.
Translation, it wasn't on the Golf Channel. So, golf always works. So where do I start? First, how was it not on the president's radar? It was on my radar. I'm barely conscious. If I could figure ISIS could expand, why couldn't he? Second, President Bush told us back in 2007 that this would happen if we got out of Iraq. Listen.
Begin withdrawing before our commanders tell us we are ready would be dangerous for Iraq, for the region, and for the United States. It'd mean that we'd be risking mass killings on a horrific scale. It would mean we allow the terrorists to establish a safe haven in Iraq to replace the one they lost in Afghanistan.
Third, an excuse like President Obama's can't fly. No president can say, I didn't know it was going to be on the test. Just doesn't work that way. Final point, the president's drop ball on ISIS certainly didn't help his party during the last election or Hillary Clinton. So I guess in that regard, good job, Mr. President. Well done. Ambassador, is the president in some sort of denial? Like he can't bring himself to say that he screwed up?
Well, I think that's been a problem for a long time. But look, he was perfectly familiar with ISIS. He famously said they're just junior varsity. You didn't have to care for them. So they were on his radar screen. But because he doesn't understand the ideology that motivates the terrorist, he just didn't pay any attention to them until it was too late. And a lot of people have died because he didn't understand it or wouldn't understand it.
In fairness, a lot of European leaders don't either. Don't understand it, don't know what to do about it. Throughout the world, a lot of...
Honestly, comparing us to Europeans is not a good way to go. I just want to throw that out for...
But they're suffering from... But you're seeing a lot of mass-scale attacks in Europe. We have over the last couple of years. So it's clear that really nobody knows what to do about ISIS. And we saw that throughout the last election.
I knew from day one.
Well, but what do you know what to do about ISIS, though?
Yes.
What's that?
You kill them. I got 1 million of them. Unfortunately, my answer to everything is kill them.
You'd kill them.
I understand, though, why he was surprised. Because he had this ideal in his head that he was going to be the anti-war president. Yeah. So anything that didn't fit into that vision, you kind of just, don't really pay attention to it, right? We've all ignored red flags before, right? And it's like you're technically surprised when you find out that they're cheating on you, but in the back of your head, you're like, I knew Bible study didn't go till 4:30 in the morning.
On top of whatever, what happened to you? Like, when your book comes out, I'm going to need tissue and a
only after
brain
my
surgeon.
dad's gone can that
come
out.
Yes.
But I think another thing that we're forgetting is it was the beginning also of the politically correct era, and we need to leave them and let them solve their own problems. We didn't let generals be generals. We didn't let put handcuffs on our army. We pulled it out because it was the feel-good thing, not the right thing to do. We basically left the keys. Macaroni in the oven with directions how to cook it in the Middle East for them to just do what they want to do. We pulled out, and once our presence was gone, it was basically recess, do whatever you want to do, and nobody else stopped them. So we literally are responsible because, one, we cleared out the competition.
Yeah.
And we left. We basically left the field, the tools, and no one did anything about it. And what we say back growing up was, he got caught slipping. He thought because of all the praise they got from killing Osama bin Laden and doing all this stuff, oh, game over, we did it.
Yeah.
And all we really did was just help the next man up.
I have a theory. You may clap. Now you may. He didn't want to listen to political adversaries, and he's always been like that. So if your adversary is correct, he doesn't have the ego to allow himself to accept that they might have a point, and he didn't want to feed the idea of Islamophobia. But he also thought, and he'd said this, I believe he'd actually said this, or I'm making it up. He thought taking ISIS seriously would be complimenting them. Like, we don't want to treat them as though that's what he called them, the JV team. He didn't want to give them this grand reputation, which is like a doctor not taking your brain cancer seriously because, you don't want it to get a big head. We don't want your cancer. We don't want your cancer to... Yeah, that was a really weird metaphor. But it works. It does work. It's like, and so even ISIS, I think, was kind of offended. They're going like, hey, guys, how many people do we have to behead before the United States cares?
Not just that. Every action movie you've ever seen, the bad guy ignores the, Apollo Creed. Oh, don't worry about Rocky. Don't worry about him. Like, literally, it's the blueprint of every movie.
It is.
When there's a bad guy in it. Oh, don't worry about him. He can't fight. Then then there's a montage of training, which was run on the air every night where they're doing their things.
Yeah. They had the montage.
We literally inspired them. Said, hey, you know.
The other assumption that he made was that the American public is so war-weary that they didn't want to take this on.
Yeah.
But I think that's a lazy assumption, and it's an assumption that people on both sides of the aisle make, that TV anchors make, that the American public is war-weary, so why do they want to go marching into Iraq and Syria? And I don't think that that's quite the case.
Yeah, I think that when you're dealing with evil, Ambassador, people are willing to step up and do something about it.
Yeah, it also understates the role of the president. The president's job is not to follow public opinion when American national security is endangered. The president's job is to lead the nation, to explain the threat, and describe what we're going to do to defeat the threat before it kills Americans. And Obama has consistently failed to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Up next, as Mr. Trump threatens to cancel a deal with Boeing, is the president-elect picking winners and losers? And what does this mean for other companies? I'm looking at you, MyPillow.
If you'll be in the New York area and would like to be part of our studio audience, email Greg Tix at foxnews.com.